Hello viewers, this is AViT podcast at the channel AViT in Krakow in Poland. And today I'm talking with the special guest from Germany, from Munich, from Matrox Video. And my guest is
Katrin Kerber. Thank you very much for the nice introduction, Jarek. I am Territory Account Manager for Matrox Video, and I'm responsible for the territories of Northern Europe, Baltics, Poland, and the former CIS countries. And I'm very happy to be here today in warm Krakow.
It's my pleasure to see you personally at our studio. On the beginning, how long have you worked for Matrox Video?
Very long. I can say that, but it may also describe how much fun it actually is. It's my 21st year this year. I started in 2005 as a territory account manager, basically just for the Nordics, but over time I expanded a little bit.
Yes. So now you are here in Poland, responsible for the Polish market too. But a very simple question. What brand is Matrox Video for the industry around the world?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Matrox brand is actually very interesting if you look at the history. Of course, the big name comes from the PC days when we were the graphic card number one in every home PC. This is where a lot of people still know us from. But the company has also changed continuously because we continue to do innovations and also reinvent ourselves. And with one of those reinventions, we basically stepped into professional industries back, kind of, as you can say. And now we are found in a lot of professional solutions like control rooms, theaters, museums, corporate companies, you name it, like a very wide area, but more or less a little bit hidden heroes that make things work, right?
Yes, because your solutions are very hidden, not open for normal people eyes. Your solutions are hidden. The people who are responsible for them are also hidden. What people are standing behind the Matrox company?
Well, that's an interesting question. First, we are privately owned still, and our owner, our founder, Laurent Trottier, still runs the company. And he has been doing this over the years with his continuous interest and curiosity in how technology changes and develops. But we also have a C-level of people with Aaron Klein as our CEO, Charles Nadeau as the CFO, which are a younger generation a little bit, but also have the same curiosity. And that curiosity into technology brings us a little bit together. Even though I'm not an engineer, we continue to make it very, very interesting what we are developing. And it keeps me actually active going out and finding new projects with that new technology that we are inventing. So the company is a mix of very humble persons, but very curious person, I would say.
Who could not be even an engineer.
Exactly.
Who are you?
Well, I studied languages in the first line, and then later I did the BA in economy and marketing. But as I said, like at some point I decided to work in the technology industry, coming from semiconductor testing before, which was very, very deeply technically. It was very interesting to move into Matrox, to have a product that I can actually touch and sell and learn the vocabulary of the specification, if I can make this analogy to my background with languages.
Yes, because the vocabulary is not easy, even for professionals. When we are talking about the Matrox solutions, there are always many questions. And how? So I have also one. How do you describe the presence of the Matrox Video on the market in the AViT industry? Because the Matrox Video is very important brand.
Thank you for mentioning that. Well, we try to solve real-world problems with our technology, and we have this unique background of having been a broadcast company, but also having been an IT company with the graphic cards. So as this market is merging together, Matrox comes with a unique background in bringing solutions that make that merger easier and give the customer a lot of benefits in terms of longevity, stability, etc. As you can imagine, broadcast quality is usually very high standard. So we bring this broadcast quality to the AV and IT industry at the need of the AV and IT industry. So this is what Matrox is standing for right now, that we are trying to promote and to develop this merging markets, giving the customer solutions that can cater the whole range.
And it's very important that solutions made by Matrox Video are very stable.
Exactly. This is what I usually like to say. In earlier days, we said the graphic card that never dies. I still sometimes meet people at trade shows that come to me, I have a Millennium and it's still running a 20-year-old graphic card. Imagine that. Usually your PC doesn't survive that long, right? But also now, if you look at solutions like we run the Oslo Metro for the digital signage system since more than 10 years. Very funny story when, the ownership of the metro changed, that he found this little box and it was still like a layer of dust, but solid working. So this is
very solid brand.
Reliability is a key to us, yes.
You mentioned the solutions. Perhaps here in Poland, what is the local market for Matrox Video? Would you tell me about the participation and goals of Matrox Video here on this market?
I would like to grow here, and I would like to do that by meeting people. I really would like to understand the people a little bit better. It's my first year now, as I just started last July with the Polish market. So, and for me, people make the business, right? And that's why I want to start building my network with customers together with my two distributors, Konsbud Audio and Modulit. They help me to bring the products here. But it's also very important that I'm here, that people know that I can do the technical support, the training of the possibilities of our products. Yeah, and we are used in control rooms. We have a few projects here, of course, mostly classified that we can't talk about it. But there's also Warsaw Theater, Bygdosh Academy, Music Academy, are a few sample installations that we have done recently where Matrox products are used.
Can you talk more about the Warsaw Theater?
Unfortunately not.
Not.
Yeah.
Okay. To sum up, long-term customer relationships, commitment to reliability, solving real-world challenges, and maintaining customer, and creating the Matrox as a brand. Matrox Video is a brand which is very longevity. And could you tell me why? How are you prepared for such maintaining of your solutions and your customers?
This is the commitment to the technology. As a manufacturer, we basically have the choice to choose components that we put on our products that are available for a long time. Besides that, we are also buying in components that we can continue building even after those components may be end of life. So that is one element of it. The second element is robust design. Yeah, we try to make passively cooled products, for example, because moving parts usually wear out first, right? And in terms of the graphic cards, we always had passive cooling on those, but also today when you look at our appliances, they are solid built with no fans in it and very rugged so that they can survive even in very different environments like Oslo Metro. I always like to mention that because, it's dust, it's dirt there and they survive. Or if you think about oil rigs, we have also in the oil and gas industry a lot of installations offshore where our products are just never dying and helping the customer to maintain their production.
You mentioned the project in Scandinavia, a little bit in Poland, but you are responsible also for the market of the Baltic countries.
Yes.
Maybe you could tell a little about the projects which are situated there?
The Baltics are mainly more in the IT direction, like the control rooms as well, with the graphic cards or video wall cards and video wall solutions, and a couple of KVM extensions as well in process automation control rooms. So those are more typical installations that we have in the Baltics.
Okay. There are another points, solutions like Maevex MGX, broader Matrox video ecosystem of interoperable and open standards-based technologies. How do they help customers to build the workflows and to protect investments and solutions?
That was a lot of questions in one. Let's start sorting it a little bit. When we start with open standards, standards as such help customers to secure long-term investment because they are meant to stay. I like to refer to an example that we know from the display industry. You may be familiar with EDID, Electronic Display Identification Data. So EDID has been developed by a lot of display manufacturers to use the same possibility to connect between a graphic card and a display. And if you imagine now, EDID was invented in 2000. Today we have 2026. It's still EDID that carries the signal for the resolution and refresh rate. Today we have 8K, which didn't exist at that time. But maybe with this analogy, you understand the possibility of open standards because they continue to develop according to the customer need. They are adding new functionalities to the standard to actually get the customer growing with it. And this is what we mean with investment security, that you don't invest in something that you throw away 3 years later. Yeah. So then open standards and interoperability, that is the other thing. Like when I refer back to EDID, no matter if you have a Samsung, an NEC, Sharp or LG, they all use the same language to connect to each other. And in AV over IP, imagine that you have cameras connecting directly to a receiver, which is 2 different brands. That lets customers save money in investing in 2 boxes instead of 1 camera and 1 box. So to say, that is another example. Yeah, interoperability also leverages the possibility that you can have different choices for your ecosystem. Yeah, we all know we have gone through the component crisis. When you have that dependency on a single manufacturer, you're basically a little bit messed if he has a problem to deliver, right? So open standards lets you pick and choose and keep up your supply chain as a manufacturer that joins open standards.
So Matrox Video, solutions of Matrox Video could be supplies between many other solutions which are not connected yet.
Well, this, just as an example, like think of Panasonic PTZ cameras and Matrox receivers that talk directly to each other. In the old days, you had the camera and SDI into a converter, then you did AV over IP, then you had the receiver. So now you have the camera directly talking to us. Yeah, so saving 1 box actually, which is the example of interoperability, which is not only within Matrox. Yeah, interoperability connects a lot of different brands. Like when we think about media servers, Analog Way has SMPTE 2110, Barco has SMPTE 2110, and Matrox, which is one of the open standards, Matrox has receivers and senders that can talk to each other. LED walls, LED controllers are all supporting these open standards. So you come with your MacBook into an AV over IP sender, and we are sending directly to the LED wall. Without anything in between. Yeah. Yes. So that is the interoperability part of the open standards. Coming down to MGX as the new kid on the block, as I like to say. MGX is interesting in a lot of different perspectives. Because when you look at AV over IP, there's typically 3 challenges that you have to tackle. You have in the broadcast industry usually uncompressed zero latency transport. In Pro AV, you have light compressed video transport, where the people make a little compromise between no latency and manipulation of the images. But in IT, you have usually high compression with all your surveillance cameras that use very popular codecs like H.264 and H.265. Your VLC on your laptop is a software decoder in that sense. Yeah, MGX is now filling the AV over IP in a high compression format with open standards. So now IPMX, as the open standard for the AV industry, is covering all these three requirement segments with products that support uncompressed if you need it, products that support light compressed if you need it, and products that do a high compression if you need it. And that gives you the utmost flexibility to actually pick and choose, but also combine the systems together, instead of having this brand here and this brand here, and then you have two islands that
so they are not only stable but also flexible.
Exactly. Flexibility is one of the biggest arguments for open standards as well.
And now there is a break.
Thank you very much.
This episode is sponsored by Matrox Video, a leading manufacturer of video products and technologies for broadcast, media and AVIT markets.
We are back. This is AVIT Technologies, podcast of AVIT channel in Krakow. Today we are talking with Katrin Kerber from Matrox Video. Katrin, why the open standards in Matrox Video Solutions are so great? I think you are very proud of them. It is one of the main, very characteristic feature which Matrox Video Solutions could give to the customers.
Mm-hmm. Because open standards are truly innovative. They haven't existed in the AV industry before. And I mean, if you look back at the graphic card days with that reference, Matrox was the first to do a quad-channel video card, or multi-display graphic cards were our innovation. And now we are taking another jump in an innovation, bringing open standards into AV over IP, which no one has done before. Yeah, and it's not only Matrox, it's also that thing with the other manufacturers that we develop on something that we really believe into. Yeah, and it started with SMPTE 2110 in the middle of 2015, 2016, where Matrox with the broadcast part was already part of this great idea of having interoperability in the broadcast industry between different brands. And then Matrox is also key in driving it towards the AV and IT industry, with MGX at the latest reaching out to IT, and compute systems basically. So that's why we are very proud of being part of this group of developments, because it never existed before.
The next question is very interesting, because we are talking about solution stability, flexibility, etc. Of Matrox Video, but what is Matrox Video doing to support the standards?
Well, we are part of several development groups. These open standards, they are actually supported by different alliances. You have AIMS as the alliance that promotes it. This is a non-profit alliance that promotes the standards and brings out trainings, like IPMX training has been released just lately for Infocom. Then there's the Video Services Forum, which is a technical group of different manufacturers that defines these different specifications. Then there's EBU, the European Broadcasting Union, who has been hosting the SMPTE 2110 development, and now also the IPMX interoperability testing. So there has been in Geneva an event where different manufacturers met and did a LAN party, if you want to call it like this. They connected their devices to make sure they all understood the specifications correctly. Because the main difference of open standards is that Matrox can choose this chip to program it, and Panasonic can use this chip to program it, if I can make it in that simple words. So it's very important that these specifications are understood in the same way from every manufacturer to make sure they understand each other.
This year, Matrox Video has been celebrating 15th anniversary. I think it's a good moment to talk a little bit more about it.
Yes, well, my share has only been 20 years, but the time flew basically because Matrox is a very interesting company from its size, but also from the family feeling. Yeah, and I have a little anecdote that I can share. When I started with Matrox in 2005, I was a lucky one to be invited to Montreal to sales training to our headquarters, which hasn't happened for many years. So I went to Montreal, didn't know anyone. And then our owner, L'Entretien, came into the conference room, came straight to me and gave me his hand. "Hello, you must be Katrin, the new employee of the Munich office." And imagine, 3 months with the company, I didn't know anyone, but our owner comes to me and says hello. This was a unique moment. I was starstruck, I can say it like this. Yeah, but now it is like when you talk to Lon, it's like talking to a colleague. It's really exchanging about what customers say about the products. At ISE, he's joining customer meetings to discuss with him. And you can really challenge each other, with his ideas, what he wants to develop technologically and what you want to bring to the market to your customers. As me, as a salesperson, I'm of course representing my customers. So that feeling is very, very special, that particularly if you know each other also for such a long time, when new people come, they immediately feel invited and included in this discussion because there's no hierarchy even as well.
Yes, it looks like a technological family.
Yes, it is. It truly is. Even as not being an engineer, you can join these discussions.
To sum up, what do you think? How Matrox Video has evolved for the last 50 years on the market and AV industry?
Well, innovation is a key word of Matrox, and I think the company has reinvented itself a couple of times, mainly driven by the visionary spirit of Lorne, because he is very interested in technology, and he would like to continue driving technologies. Yeah, I sometimes even compare him to Steve Jobs a little bit because the similarities are there. They started as two persons, basically fiddling with some kind of electronics, and now we revolutionized the graphic card world. Now we are revolutionizing the AV over IP industry or AV industry as such. So, and that is what is the motor of the company. Yeah, and there's great things to come in the future as well, and that keeps it interesting. If I can take it to me personally, when I started working for Matrox, I sold graphic cards to banks and corporate customers. Yeah, over time, when we started with streaming solutions, I went to universities to sell for the lecture management systems. Then we started doing KVMs, and I came into process automation, control rooms, oil and gas industry, different really manufacturing industries. So sometimes I feel like working for the third, fifth company by now, but it's still the same name. It's just by how we develop and what we bring to the market. Yes, it makes it very rich.
Yes, yeah. It's elevating.
Exactly.
Too. And the people are the most important feature, I think, because you underlined the people from Matrox Video.
Yeah, people make the business, and also, I mean, in terms of support, we are trying really to help, to help customers what to choose, but also when we have sold it, to not leave them alone, to continue supporting them.
Because of the 15th anniversary, there was a special gala in Montreal, in Canada. And could you tell a little how did it look like?
Well, Lorne is a very generous person, I have to say. Like one of the example, when he sold one of the divisions, he actually shared the win among all the employees. So for the 50th anniversary this year, he created a couple of ideas with the team to give something back to us as employees. Yeah, and among them is 2 galas, one in Montreal for the Americas and one in Amsterdam in September for the EMEA team. Yeah, where we will party together. So in the gala, I haven't been there, but from the pictures I saw, everyone was nicely dressed. It was a gala in itself with music, with good food, and a lot of interactions. Yeah.
Special moment.
Special
moment.
Yeah.
But there is also a very interesting history quiz.
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, I have to say chapeau to our HR, because they put up a couple of ideas how to make this 50th anniversary year very special. Yeah, and for example, we as employees, we were contributing to a yearbook, which is a gift to Lorne, yeah, with some memories, some comments from every employee. Imagine every employee has written a few phrases for him, then a collection of old pictures. And then they also made a quiz where they ask questions like, where was the first building of Matrox? What was the first product Matrox brought out? Yeah, and even you could use the yearbook, because there were a few answers for those that are younger in the company like me. So you could sneak a little bit into the answers in the yearbook. But I think it was a very special idea to grow the knowledge about your company, basically.
Yes, you published the yearbook. Can we order the book?
No, it's internal. Yeah, as I said, it's a little bit about gifts between the employees and Lorne to us. So, but it's very special. Again, it describes a little bit this family feeling.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, exactly. And to sum up, where are you going next as Matrox company in the future? What goals do you have for the future?
Well, the revolution is going on, let's put it that way, bringing open standards for AV over IP to the IT industry, because that part has been missing, with MGX supporting the first high compression codec under the umbrella of open standards. So that is just launched, so now we need to do our legwork to bring it out. And the opportunities are endless, because now that what we get from the open standards in terms of broadcast quality comes to IT with a lot of potential also towards software and CPU deployments, Teams integration, Zoom room integration. We spoke about latency. So that particular part could be something special, and the next step based on MGX and based on the new open standard codec under IPMX, which supports low latency with high compression in the same thing.
Yes, because you are traditional as a company, but you are developing also year after year and rechange to another goal, another step.
Yes, we keep inventing.
Thank you, Katrin. It was Technological Podcast, AViT Technologies of channel AViT in Krakow in Poland. Thank you, Katrin. It was my pleasure.
Dziękuję.
Proszę. To host you at our podcast studio in Krakow. And thank you, viewers, for your attention. Bye.